हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू न्यू क्लास एकेडमी। दोस्तों, आपका हमारे एकेडमी न्यू क्लास एकेडमी में आपका स्वागत है। दोस्तों, अगर आप जीआईसी लेक्चरर की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और एग्जाम बहुत करीब है, समय बहुत कम है और फास्ट रिवीजन करना चाहते हैं तो ये वीडियो आपके लिए है। दोस्तों, आपके सिलेबस में जॉन ड्राइडन प्रिस्क्राइब है और जॉन ड्राइडन पर यहाँ पर मैंने 100 बुलेट पॉइंट्स आपके एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से यहाँ पर रखा है। दोस्तों, ये सारा कंटेंट आपको हमारी वेबसाइट theliterablogspot.com पर उपलब्ध है और उसका लिंक आपको वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिलेगा। जाइए वहां से वीडियो का डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाइए और वेबसाइट पर विजिट करिए। दोस्तों, अगर चैनल पर आप नए हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करके बेल आइकन दबा दें ताकि आने वाले वीडियो का नोटिफिकेशन आपको सबसे पहले मिले। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। दोस्तों, मैं अपना पेन टैब लगा लेता हूँ। अभी मेरा ये टैब लगा। चलिए, हो गया। तो दोस्तों, ये जॉन ड्राइडन पर 100 बुलेट पॉइंट जो बहुत फास्ट तरीके से मैं आपका रिवीजन कराने वाला हूँ। एक एक पॉइंट बहुत ओरिएंटेड है, एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड है। चलिए देखते हैं। तो पहला पॉइंट है, जॉन ड्राइडन वाज born on August 9, 1631 in एल्डविंकल, नॉर्थैम्पटनशायर। जॉन ड्राइडन का जन्म 9 अगस्त 1631 को एल्डविंकल, नॉर्थैम्पटनशायर में हुआ था। दूसरा है, ही केम फ्रॉम ए लैंड ओनिंग फैमिली विथ स्ट्रॉन्ग कनेक्टिंग टू द चर्च ऑफ इंग्लैंड एंड पार्लियामेंट। ये इंपॉर्टेंट है दोस्तों। ही केम फ्रॉम ए लैंड ओनिंग फैमिली विथ स्ट्रॉन्ग कनेक्शन टू द चर्च ऑफ इंग्लैंड एंड पार्लियामेंट। ये एक ऐसे फैमिली से आते थे जो बहुत ही, फैमिली कैसी थी? लैंड ओनिंग फैमिली थी और इनका संबंध किससे था? चर्च ऑफ इंग्लैंड एंड पार्लियामेंट से था। थर्ड पॉइंट, ही वॉज द एल्डेस्ट ऑफ द 14 चिल्ड्रन। 14 चिल्ड्रन में सबसे ये एल्डेस्ट थे। born to Erasmus Dryden and Mary Pickering। फोर्थ नंबर है, ड्राइडन was a second cousin once removed of the famous satirist Jonathan Swift। फिफ्थ नंबर, he was educated as a king's scholar at Westminster School under the legendary headmaster Dr. Richard Busby। सिक्स नंबर, at Westminster he was rigorously trained in the art of rhetoric, which heavily influenced his later dialectical writing style। सेवन नंबर, his first published poem, इनका पहला पब्लिश्ड पोएम was an elegy for his schoolmate Henry, Lord Hastings, who died of smallpox in 1649। 8 number, he entered Trinity College, Cambridge in 1650 on a Westminster scholarship। 9 number, he earned his BA in 1654, graduating first in his class from Trinity. 10 number, upon his father's death in 1654, he inherited land that provided a small but insufficient income. 11 number, he moved to London during the Protectorate and worked as for Oliver Cromwell's Secretary of State, John Thurlow. John Thurlow. Oliver Cromwell's Secretary of State, John Thurlow. 12 number. In 1663, he married Lady Elizabeth Howard, the sister of the royalist Sir Robert Howard. 13 number. He had three sons, Charles, John, and Erasmus Henry. 14 number. In 1686, Dryden converted to Roman Catholicism, a move to sparked significant political and religious controversy. 15 number. He died on May 1, 1700, and was eventually buried in the Poets' Corner of Westminster Abbey. Second point, career and official position. दोस्तों बात कर लेते हैं इनके कैरियर और ऑफिशियल पोजीशन की। तो 16 नंबर है, ड्राइडन इज सेलिब्रेटेड एज द फर्स्ट ऑफिशियल पोएट laureate of England appointed in 1668. ये फर्स्ट ऑफिशियल पोएट laureate of England, very important. First official poet laureate of England appointed in 1668. John Dryden was first official poet laureate of England, appointed in 1668. 17 number. He was also appointed historiographer royal in 1670. 18 number. He was an early fellow of Royal Society, elected in 1662, though later expelled for non-payment of dues. 19 number. He was the only poet laureate to be dismissed from the office. This occurred in 1688, very important, after he refused to swear an oath of the allegiance to William III and Mary II. 20 number. He was succeeded as a poet laureate by his literary rival, Thomas Shadwell. 21st. The literary period from 1660 to 1700 is widely known as the Age of Dryden due to his total dominance. 22. Sir Walter Scott famously nicknamed him Glorious John. Very important. Sir Walter Scott famously nicknamed him Glorious John. Third, major poetic works non-satiric. 23. Heroic Stanza, 1659. His first significant poem written in eulogy Oliver Cromwell. 24. Asteria Redux, 1660, a royalist panegyric celebrating the restoration of King Charles II. 25. To His Scared Majesty, 1662, a panegyric celebrating the coronation of Charles II. 26. Annus Mirabilis, 1667, an epic poem, very important. Annus Mirabilis 1667, an epic poem in pentameter quatrain describing the Great Fire of London, and the English novel Victory over the Dutch. 27 number, Religio Lesi. Religio Lesi 1682, a religious poem written from the perspective of an Anglican. 28 number, The Hind and the Panther 1687, a long allegorical poem celebrating his conversion to Catholicism, featuring a Hind Catholicism and a Panther Anglicanism. 29 number, A Song for St. Cecilia's Day 1687, a lyric poem written for a musical festival. 30. Alexander's Feast 1697, an ode often cited as one of his greatest lyric achievements. 31. Britannia Redivia Redivia Britannia Redivia 1688, a poem celebrating the birth of the son of James II. अब दोस्तों बात कर लेते हैं एब्सोलम एंड एचिटोपल की 1681. 32. It is considered the finest political satire in the English language. 33. The poem is a biblical allegory used to represent the exclusion crisis 1679 to 1681. 34. It is written in heroic couplets. Biblical allegory is written in heroic couplets. 35. King David represents King Charles II. Important. King David represents King Charles II. 36. Absalom represents the king's illegitimate son, James Scott, Duke of Monmouth. 37. Achitophel represents the Earl of Shaftesbury, who lead the Whig opposition. 38. Jimry represents the Duke of Buckingham, a character Dryden considered ridiculous enough to be his best satirical portrait. 39. The poem also references the Popish plot. The poem also references the Popish plot 1678. 40 number. Dryden utilized the parable of the prodigal son as a second allegory within the poem. 41. A second part of the poem was written primarily by Nahum Tate in 1682, with Dryden contributing a small portion. 42. The motto on the title page, C. Propis, Pro, Sai Propius states the capiat magis is from Horace Ars Poetica. 43. Characters Ouch and Dois in part second are satires of Thomas Sedwell and Elkanah's Settle. अब बात कर लेते हैं मैक फ्लैकिनो की 1682. 45. It is the first significant mock heroic poem in English. Very important. It is the first significant mock heroic poem in English. 45. The poem is a personal lampoon. The poem is a personal lampoon attacking the Thomas Sadwell. 46. It tells the story of Richard Flecknoe, the king of nonsense, seeking a successor to his throne. 47. Sadwell is chosen as a successor because he never deviates into sense. 48. The title means son of Flecknoe. Mac is Gaelic for son. 49. The opening line is a famous general reflection. All human things are subject to decay. 50. Sadwell is described as being mature in dullness from his tender years. 51. The poem features the character Arion, a Greek musician carried by dolphins, mockingly compared to Sadwell. 52. Pissing Alloy and a hall are mentioned as the sites where Sadwell's name echoes. 53. Saint Andre's feet refers to a French dancing master who choreographed Sadwell's Psyche. 54. The setting for the coronation is a nursery, a training school for actors in a disreputable part of London. 55. Bruce and Longwell, characters from Sadwell's play The Virtuoso, appear at the end to trap Flecknoe. 56. The poem ends with Flecknoe's mantle falling on Sadwell, symbolizing the inheritance of stupidity. 57. Dryden satirically refers to Sadwell's physical bulk, calling him a tune of man. Dramatic works and all for love, 1677. 58 number. Dryden's first play was The Wild Gallant, very important. Dryden's first play was The Wild Gallant, 1663. 59. He was a shareholder in the King's Company and contracted to write 3 plays annually. 60. All for Love or The Word Well Lost is his most famous and performed play. 61. It is a tragedy written in blank verse, marking his shift away from rhymed heroic plays. 62. It is an adaptation of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. 63. Unlike Shakespeare's, Dryden observes the unities, confirming the action to Alexandria and the final hours of the protagonists. 64. Key characters include Ventidius, Antony's general, Dolabella, Antony's friend, and Octavia, Antony's wife. 65. Marriage a la Mode, 1673, is considered his best known restoration comedy. Very important. 66. The Conquest of Granada. The Conquest of Granada 1670 is a prime example of his heroic tragedy style. 67. Aurangzeb 1674 was his last play to use rhymed heroic couplets. 68. The Indian Emperor 1665 was his first major success in the heroic drama genre. 69. Dryden often collaborated as seen in The Tempest 1667 with William de Davenant. Literary criticism and theory 70. Dryden is credited with establishing criticism as a systematic discipline in England. 71 number. Samuel Johnson called him the father of English criticism. Very important. Samuel Johnson called him the father of English criticism in his Lives of the Poet. 72. An essay of dramatic poesy. An essay of dramatic poesy, 1686, is his most important critical work. John Dryden's most important critical work is An Essay on Dramatic Poesy. This work is published in 1668. Now 73. The essay is written as a dialogue between four characters on a boat on the Thames. 74. Crites Crates represents Sir Robert Howard and argues for the ancient. 75. Eugenius represents Lord Buckhurst and argues for the moderns. 76. Lycidius represents Sir Charles Sedley and argues for French drama. 77. Neander represents Dryden himself and argues for English drama. दोस्तों, ये इनका जो वर्क है एन एस ऑन ड्रामाटिक पोइसी जो 1668 में पब्लिश हुआ था, इट्स मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्रिटिकल वर्क है। इसमें ये डायलॉग है। इसमें इस हिस्से में क्या है, चार लोगों के बीच ये डायलॉग डायलॉग बिटवीन फोर कैरेक्टर्स ऑन द बोट। एक बोट में ये चार कैरेक्टर हैं और चारों लोग क्या करते हैं, डायलॉग है। चारों लोगों के बीच वार्तालाप है। और कहाँ पर ये टेम्स टेम्स नदी में है। पहला कैरेक्टर है क्रेटस। क्रेटस क्या रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, ये वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है दोस्तों। यहाँ पर ये इतना आप याद कर लीजिएगा, यहाँ से क्वेश्चन जरूर मिलेगा। क्रेटस जो है ये रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं सर रॉबर्ट हुवार्ड को। और किस पर आर्गू करते हैं, फॉर द एंशियंट्स पर। और अगला है यूजेनियस है, ये रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं लॉर्ड बुकहर्ट्स एंड आर्गूस फॉर मॉडर्न, ये मॉडर्न पर। ये क्रेटस एंशियंट पर, यूजेनियस मॉडर्न पर। और अगला है लिसिडियस रिप्रेजेंट सर चार्ल्स सेडले और ये आर्गू करते हैं फ्रेंच ड्रामा पर। और लास्ट में है नियंडर रिप्रेजेंट्स ड्राइडन हिमसेल्फ। जो नियंडर हैं ये रिप्रेजेंट करते कौन, ये ड्राइडन स्वयं है। यहाँ ये इंपॉर्टेंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि ड्राइडन क्या रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, नियंडर के रूप में स्वयं है। एंड आर्गोस फॉर इंग्लिश ड्रामा, नियंडर के रूप में जॉन ड्राइडन इंग्लिश ड्रामा को पर आर्गू करते हैं। तो ये वाला पार्ट बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको आप अच्छी तरह से समझ लीजिएगा। 78 number. Dryden defined wit as a property of words and thoughts adapted to the subject. 79 number. He advocated for the use of heroic couplet in serious drama, though he later abandoned this view. 80 number. He defended tragicomedy, a genre the French critics largely rejected. 81. Dryden was the first to use historical criticism at considering the cultural context of a work. 82. He famously praised William Shakespeare, calling him the man who, of all modern and perhaps ancient poets, had the largest and most comprehensive soul. 83. He also provided the first substantial criticism of Geoffrey Chaucer in his Fables Ancient and Modern। अब 8वां नंबर है टॉलेसन एंड प्रोज की बात कर लेते हैं जॉन ड्राइडन की। 84 number. Dryden is considered the father of modern English essay. Very important. Dryden is considered father of the modern English essay. 85. In his later years, he turned heavily to translation for income. 86. His translation of the works of Virgil, 1697, was a major national event. 87. He introduced the word biography to the English language in his edition Plutarch's Lives. 88. Fables Ancient and Modern, 1700, was his final work, containing translation of Homer, Ovid, Boccaccio, and Chaucer. 89. He believed translations should be paraphrase rather than a literal metaphrase. Now, style, influence, and historical context. 90. Dryden is credited with standardizing the heroic couplet in English poetry. 91. He developed a poetic style closer to natural speech. 92. W.H. Auden referred to him as the master of middle style. W.H. Auden referred to him as the master of the middle style. 93. He is believed to be the first to prohibit ending sentences with prepositions based on Latin grammar. 94. The phrase blaze of glory originated in his poem The Hind and the Panther. 95. Alexander Pope learned versification primarily from studying Dryden's work. 96. Matthew Arnold famously called Dryden and Pope classic of our prose rather than our poetry. 97. T.S. Eliot revitalized interest in Dryden in the 20th century, calling him the ancestor of nearly all that is best in the poetry of the 18th century. 98. Dryden's work reflects the Restoration's shift from Puritan austerity to aristocratic wit and reason. 99. His style is characterized by clarity, precision, and eloquence. Handed, he remains a pivotal figure for any study of neoclassicism in English literature. तो दोस्तों ये था आपके जीआईसी के सिलेबस से जॉन ड्राइडन से 100 बुलेट पॉइंट्स जो आपके एग्जाम के दृष्टिकोण से बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। अगर जॉन ड्राइडन पर क्वेश्चन बनता है तो आपके सारे क्वेश्चन यहीं से मिल जाएंगे। आप इसका रिवीजन बहुत फास्ट तरीके से कर सकते हैं, आप इसको पढ़ सकते हैं। आप हमारी वेबसाइट पर जाइए, वेबसाइट का लिंक वीडियो का डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिया गया है, जाइए विजिट करिए, पढ़िए और नोट्स बनाइए और अपनी तैयारी को बेहतर कीजिए। बेस्ट ऑफ लक। मिलते हैं फिर किसी वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए गुड बाय।